guys, we are going to be doing the third and final part of our engine science video, which is going to be degreeing the cam. And we are going to be, we're almost certainly going to have to futz with it a little bit. It's not going to line up where it's supposed to. So really the only tool you need for this is a dial indicator like this. And right now what I'm trying to do is set this at top dead center. I have a piece of wire wrapped around one of the timing cover bolts, and that is pointing right to top dead center. That's at 0. And the real way you want to do this is you want to go about 10 thousandths on either side of top dead center, because at the very top of the cylinder, the piston rocks a little bit. There's like probably 3 or 4 degrees of crankshaft rotation where the piston doesn't really move hardly at all. And so you want to get past that, since that isn't going to give you a very accurate reading. You could put top dead center here, but I could spin this a little bit and that needle wouldn't move at all, or it would move a little bit but not enough for my peepers to notice it. So you want to get past that and go about 10 thousandths on either side, which is going to put the degree wheel here on one spot and here on another spot, and then you find halfway right in between there, and that's where your top dead center actually is. So I'm going to do that right now, and pick back up when I have top dead center for real found. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit right before top dead center, about 10 thousandths, try and get that right on the 90 mark there. Alright, good enough. As you can see on the wheel here, we are about 6 degrees after top dead center. Or no, before top dead center. So 6 degrees before top dead center. Hopefully, when we hit back on 90, coming back down, it'll show 6 degrees after top dead center, which would be perfect. Let me see if my guess is right. Just going to put a mark on there so I remember. We screwed up when we did this and put all 8 pistons in. Do this with 1 piston and it'll make your job way easier. There. So now you can see right here, we're at 5 degrees after top dead center, which means our actual top dead center is going to be probably right, it's going to be close enough, basically. So I'm going to leave this dial indicator right where it is, and we'll call it a day. Alright, we have top dead center figured out. This piston is at top dead center. And what we're going to do now is take this depth gauge and figure out, well, first I'm going to zero the depth gauge. Perfect. And what I'm looking at right now suggests this engine is 27 thousandths in the hole. So that is how far down this engine is. That's almost perfect. When I did the calculations for a camshaft and whatnot, I projected 25 thousandths in the hole. That's what most stock blocks are. This is an aftermarket piston. It might be a little bit different. 2 thousandths of an inch is extremely small. So this is the website that I use for finding compression ratio. It just wants you to punch in all your information.
Move this way, Josh. Okay.
These pistons are a dome, and it says enter a negative for a dome, -3 cc's. Head gasket thickness, we have a .039 compressed thickness. Head gasket bore is 4.01. Deck clearance. So before when I did this I had .025, but now I know for sure .027. And then for the dynamic compression ratio, which is what we want, we need our connecting rod length, which is 5.7 inches. And the intake valve closing point, this is what we get to play with, and then we get to make our compression ratio whatever we want. So what we have here is, this shows us our stock, what this cam is stock, and it has an intake valve closing point of 46.5 degrees after bottom dead center at 50 thousandths. So we can put in 46.5, hit calculate, and this will tell us what we got. So that's a static compression ratio of almost 11:1, which is very high for a street engine, and a dynamic compression ratio of 8.88:1. We're looking for something closer to 8.5:1 to run on pump gas. So we want to figure out what we want that number to be. You can make it bigger. The bigger the number is, the lower the compression ratio will be, because the intake valve is going to be closing later and later, and more compression is going to bleed off. So you can see what it's at 50. Closer, 8.65. That's a little low. That's on the safe side, and that might be what we'll have to go with. I'm pretty sure 53 is what I had originally determined. Anyways, we can try 52, but I have a feeling that's going to be a little high. 52. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. Before, when I had the old deck clearance typed in, that extra 0.02 of an inch made this a little bit higher. But the piston is farther down in the hole now. And that 8.51:1, that's basically 8.5:1 on the nose. And that's assuming that the cylinder heads have exactly a 64 cc combustion chamber. Cylinder heads, at least stock cylinder heads, tend to be a little bit bigger than normal. These ones are fancy aluminum heads, so they're probably a little bit more accurate. But it looks like what we want to have is degree this cam in at 52 degrees after bottom dead center. So at this point you don't need, now that we have our degree wheel set up, we have this wire pointed right where it needs to be. We are going to, we don't need this dial indicator on this part more. So what we're going to do now, well, first we gotta set the dial indicator at 0, so we just gotta figure out where it's on the base lobe. We gotta spin the engine around a couple times here. Look, it's coming up, now it's going back down. There it is, it's at the bottom. Wow, that guess is almost perfect. Actually, I didn't guess a darn thing. Oh, it's still going down a little bit.
I think that's V-base.
That is the base. So that lifter is, the valve is closed right now. And so what we're looking for is, we want to figure out when is that intake valve going to close. And all the measurement points are always from 50 thousandths. So all we need to do now is spin this over until that needle goes to 50 thousandths.
1, 2, 3, 3.
So onto 3 and a little bit more.
So we need
3, 2, 1. So when it hits 50 now.
Ooh. That technique is amazing.
I can't believe that actually worked. So where are we now? Intake closes. We are at 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 54. So that's a little more than I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it at 52. Maybe I put the 8 one in there accidentally.
Which one did you put in?
One of the smaller ones. Okay. So that one's wrong, but it's off by 2. Which is perfect, because we'll just go down a size. We'll either put in the, if this is the 8, we'll put in the 6, and if this is the 6, we'll put in the 4, and it'll be perfect. So, we're going to swap out the bushing in there. We will be right back.
So when I'm talking about cam bushings, I'm talking about these little things right here, and basically all they're used to do is bump the camshaft a couple of degrees one way or the other. When I'm saying that you can use them to pick whatever dynamic compression ratio you want, that's only within about 8 degrees, so that really is only going to affect the dynamic compression ratio a little bit. You can buy these things in sets of either evens or odd numbers, so the kit that we have comes with 0 through 8, or you can buy a 1 through 7, I believe, or 1 through 9. And that's what we're using here. The image on the screen of the video they recorded is really small, so I figured I'd throw up a little picture of what these things actually look like up close, and explain just a little bit more of how they work.
Put the fat end down or the fat end up is whether you're going to retard or advance it. So the engine is spinning this way, right? So the cam is spinning that way, and we want to scooch the cam back more that way. So we want to put the fat end down so that when this hole lines up with the hole right here, it's shoving the cam back around that way. If you flip it around, we'd be advancing the cam, and that's in the wrong direction. So then I'm just going to put the timing chain on like normal. Gotta get it on the right tooth here. Make sure your dots are lined up. The dots will inherently line up because I haven't moved the cam from where it was before. There you go. Gotta hold that on while we get a bolt in here. And just for reference, what we did for drilling these out is all of these holes got drilled out with a 13/64 drill bit. All of them. Even the ones with the bolts, they needed to be drilled out a little bit because the bolts need to have some slop since we're scooching them around a little. So anyways, this should be completely perfect now. I'm going to check it again anyways, but that's basically how you do it. I'm going to check it the exact same way I did when we checked it the first time. We'll probably show that the number is where it should be when we get done, but I don't think we're going to record spinning it over and me overshooting my mark 15 times. So we'll show you guys when it's done, and that should be that. We should be good to go. Alright guys, while you're spinning the engine over, figuring out what your cam degree is, now is a great time to take some clay or modeling putty or something like that and pack her down on the top of your piston here, right where your valves are probably going to hit. These have nice valve reliefs where the valves are going to hit. And that way you can check your piston to valve clearance. So we're going to take the head right there, bolt it down, torque it down. We have 2 lifters in, we'll put 2 push rods on, get 2 rocker arms on. And then we'll, the valves should make indents in the clay. If they don't, that's even better because that means there's plenty of clearance. And then you can cut slits in the clay and take calipers like that and measure up you some piston to valve clearance. So we're just going to do that while we're spinning the engine over to green the cam. Alright guys, we got the cam degreed in, and as you can see, that's 52, which is exactly where we wanted it. That's right on the focus. That's right on the 50 thousandths mark. So the valve it's basically closed. It's going to go down another 50 thousandths of an inch, and we're right at 52 degrees. So I'm happy with it. We got that cam bushing installed correctly. Basically just going to leave the timing chain the way it is now, take this off and throw the cover back on. We got to pull that head off, and we'll measure the putty and see what that was. We had to whip this thing over like 78 times, or at least, probably, because yeah, so whatever needed to happen in there, it happened. Alright, we just took the head off. We're going to see what this clay looks like. We definitely got some good markings to go by. Let's just hope that this tells us what we want. Gives us some. Let's hope this gives us the right information. All right. Well, we're looking for about a 100 thou, or a 1/10 of an inch on the intake, and a 10.1 on the other.
Cut it completely in half, and I'll just tear one side off.
Yep. Well, just tear this chunk off here and tear that chunk off there. See if you can preserve it. Oh, you did. Perfect. That looks like
We have a lot of
yeah. Oh yeah, that's like a 1/4 of an inch.
A lot. I could have gone waste placer on the cam.
Or on the pistons.
Or pistons.
Here, see if you can get that one off. I'm not going to put this, well, yeah. That's like 0.29.
What was the tolerance we were supposed to be at?
0.1. That's 0.20. So we have
good.
twice as much clearance as we need. That's absolutely perfect. Alright folks, that's some of the best news that we had all day, was measuring those piston valves. And really everything that we did as far as the making sure this engine is going to run like a top, everything checked out. The bearing clearances were fine. We measured push rods. Turns out we can actually use our stock push rods, although we do believe now we're going to get some roller rockers and some different push rods. But that's all going to work itself out just fine. Push rods aren't that big of a deal. As far as the cam bushings go, again, it hit right on the money. We got that 52 degrees that we needed, and then the piston to valve clearance, we got, what, twice as much clearance as we need. So this thing is, everything checks out on this engine. Hopefully some of the information in this video can help you guys make sure your engines are in tip-top shape, not going to blow themselves up as soon as you fire it up. If you like these more science-involved videos, let us know. We can try and make more of them and explain sort of really how you're supposed to set this up and why it needs to be set up the way it does. And if you just like watching the two idiots try and put stuff together, well, you can watch that too. We'll have some videos of the rest of this engine going together and just some of us screwing around, or you can watch the live stream that we've been filming the entire build of this engine so far. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you guys in the next one.